that means the most to you, they pick up their phone and they start scrolling. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel like you're insignificant? Or when you're sitting at the dinner table and there's a ding, they instantly pick up their phone and answer that text message. Or trying to tell them a story and the phone rings and they answer it. All of a sudden, you begin to feel like that device is more important than what you have to say. Or, let's do this. You used to sit on the couch every single night and watch TV together. And now, your significant other sits with their head in their laptop. They don't look up. Hours go by and they say nothing to you. Where you used to spend hours together just watching TV and talking. All of a sudden, you begin to resent what they're doing on that computer, and you wonder who the heck that they're talking to all the time. And what starts to happen is there begins to have this friction in your relationship. And you wonder, who are they talking to? What are they doing? What could be more important than spending time with me? You know, the person that you love. That was me. I was that person. I was the person with my head in that computer and on my phone 24/7 and ignoring the people that meant the most to me. I was giving my family what was left of me instead of what was best to me. And maybe that's you guys too. But you know what? Here's the thing. I learned because Matt looked me straight in the eyes and says, you have to make a choice. It's either Beachbody or it's your family. And I realized that I was letting my time manage me and I wasn't managing it. And I knew that I could have the best of both worlds, but I just had to figure it out. So today, we're gonna talk about that. And I wanna start by saying, I don't believe that you can have a perfectly balanced life. I believe that you make a choice of where you want to spend your time and you do it mindfully. So, you know, you're not going to be able to build an amazing Beachbody business and drink wine and eat bonbons every single night on your couch and sleep in every single weekend. There are going to be sacrifices that you make, but you're making mindful decisions of where you want to spend your time. Because let's face it, we have a non-traditional job. It is not a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And we make a choice of where we're going to put our efforts and our energy. We all have the same 24 hours in the day, and we can't make that 25th hour or we would be rich, right? You can't make more time, but we can make the most of it. And that is what I'm going to talk to you about today, is making the most of your time so that your family gets the best of you, your team gets the best of you, your customers get the best of you, and you feel like you have a balance that fits you. Does that sound good? All right. Okay, so first and foremost, I learned this from Chalene Johnson. I did her 30daypush.com. It was an automated email. Maybe some of you have heard of that, but 5.5 years ago, I went through that little online course, and the first thing she talked about was setting your priorities. So in your life right now, what are the most important things that you say are non-negotiable? You would not give up, no matter what. Is it a full-time job that you currently work that you love? Is it, you know, your relationship with your spouse, your significant other, your children? Is it volunteering? Is it church? We all have priorities that we want to keep sacred. Those are first. Let's list those out. Then, the next thing is, and for me, one of my priorities is my Beachbody business. That is one of those sacred priorities, and that's allowed to be a part of that too. Then the next thing is, I used to be a bobblehead. Yes, everything sounded good. Yes, I'll commit to that. Let's add one more thing to my plate. And then before you know it, you're not doing anything well. You're just being spread too thin. So I'll give you an example. When I first started my business, have you guys heard of fit clubs? Anybody still do fit clubs? No? Yes? A couple? All right, so I started a local fit club in my area to just generate interest. And it started to become I had a lot of people that would come every single week. And so the organization where I hosted the fit club asked if I would add another night. And my initial reaction was like, absolutely, I see the need for it. But as my business was growing, I realized that 3 hours, the time I spent driving there, packing up all of my stuff, teaching the class, then packing up and coming home, that 3 hours I was taking away from my family and my online business that was growing fast was not the best use of my time. I could spend an hour and a half working my business online, an hour and a half with my family, and I could accomplish twice as much. And so I had to graciously decline that second Fit Club. And I will tell you that teaching live classes is also not a passion of mine, so that didn't fit into one of my top priorities. And I see many coaches even now doing that, where they're adding so many things in, but it's not the best use of your time, even though it's a great idea. All right, so the other thing too is your goals. When I was going to attempt to go to be in the top 10 the first year, when I was setting my goals, I think it was in 2015, I can remember having a discussion with my mentor and saying, I don't want to put top 10 on there because I'm afraid it's going to mess with my life balance. I'm afraid that it's going to take too much time away from my kids. I was very well aware of the sacrifices that I might need to make. So you have to ask yourself, will I have the time necessary to devote to reaching the goals I want to achieve and still honoring my priorities? Like, do you realistically know what that looks like? And surprisingly, because I was focused on the right business building activities, I ended up being top 10 anyways, but I didn't put that pressure on myself. So you do have to ask yourself, right? Why do you want to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish this year? What sacrifices are you going to have to make, and will it be worth it? And here's the other thing to consider. How will accomplishing those goals make you feel? And this past year, I learned that one of my teammates made the goal of being an elite coach, and we got to the fourth quarter, and she goes, I don't even know why I put elite on my goal board. I just did it because I thought that's what I was supposed to do next. I wasn't really sure what it meant. That was the next step in my business. It didn't have any meaning to her. So as you're thinking about where you're going to spend your time, do your goals push you for a reason? The first year I could earn a Success Club trip, it was to Disney. And I remember when that castle came across the screen, all I could think about is I will never be able to, at the current situation Matt and I were in, be able to afford a trip like that for my family. And I thought about Landon and Bryce's face if I could earn that trip for our family, and how proud I would be that their mommy was able to help at least 3 people every single month and earn Success Club so that I could take them on that trip. And then I thought to myself how proud Matt would be that I did that for our family and that I was creating some extra income. And I put a picture of that castle as the screensaver on my computer. And every morning when I woke up, that extra hour in the morning, I would think about that goal and how much meaning it had in my life. Do your goals have that much meaning that you are willing to get out of bed in the morning when that alarm goes off and do the work that other people aren't willing to do? So once you have that figured out, now you can get to work. And I'm all about planning. I talked about it this morning. I'm going to talk about it this afternoon. It's time to set your work hours. It's time to get real. We can set a lot of goals, but let's just face it, goals do not become accomplished unless we take action. And we have to take massive action in the right areas. And we're going to get down to that. I'm going to share with you my calendar. Just 1 week. It changes every week. But every Sunday, I have a planning session with myself. Yes, I still get up at 5 in the morning. I still do. Maybe 5:30. But I get up because it's quiet. I can think clearly. I can plan for the week. And I set my hours. So here's sort of a snapshot of what my calendar looks like. And quite honestly, this is just 1 week. And it really does change every single week. But I want to go through this with you. The first thing that I do on Sundays is I think about what are my goals for the week? What are the things that I have to accomplish? Do I need to hit Success Club? Is it time for me to recruit some coaches? Do I need to help my coaches get into Success Club? I think about my personal goals. Remember what I talked to you this morning about the marketing plan? All of that is going on a sheet of paper where I'm listing out sort of like a brain dump of what I want to accomplish in the week. And then the second thing I do is I open up Google, because I really like Google Calendar because it syncs to my phone, and you can share your calendar with your spouse or your significant other too. And so what I'll do is on Sundays, I go in, the first thing I do is I put my priorities on there. Things that I can't change. So if you work, that goes on there. If you have doctor's appointments or Landon has tutoring, that goes on there. If we have, flag football or basketball practice, that goes on there. That's things that I can't change. Church on Sundays, that goes on my calendar. And then I think about my other priorities, the things that have to go in there, my workout. My workout's actually repeating. It just stays on there. And I schedule in my shower in the morning, right? So when I get up, you can see I give myself time. It's an actual block. And then another really important part to me is that when my kids get off the bus at 3:50, then I'm there. And so that yellow, that 3:50 to about 8:30 is so important to me that I make that sacred, that is family time. And when you set it up on Google and on your Google Calendar, it sends you a reminder 30 minutes prior to the time that your next activity starts. And it reminds me that I have to finish what I'm doing. It's not one more thing, one more post, one more follow-up. It is no, this ends, my business ends, my family begins. Because I want them to have the best of me. And so I have to work at my maximum capacity and be focused during that time to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. And then the next thing I put on here is team calls. What team calls do I have going on throughout the week? Monday night team calls, standing, all the other calls throughout the week. And then I put my personal business. And I have 2 buckets that I use, personal business and then my team time. My personal business, as you can see, that's in the green color, is always first thing in the morning. Because if I don't get my vital behaviors, my inviting, my follow-ups, my new contacts, my posts, if I don't get that done first, my team starts to bleed into that. And by the time the end of the day happens, I look back and I go, man, I didn't really do anything that moved my business forward. I just put out fires. I was just talking to people. I was scrolling on Facebook. So I started blocking it out. It began to give me more of a clear focus. And then you can see the purple is my team, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. But the first time I did this activity, I realized how much white space that I had. And so if you sit here and you think to yourself, I don't have time to work my business, or I need to create more time, sit down and start doing this activity. You're going to find that you have a lot more time than you think. And one of the things I do with even people that work full time is I say, what do you do when you drive to work? What do you do on that hour? You can schedule 2 one-on-one calls on the way there. You can voice message on the way home. I said, you have to look at all the little tiny pockets of your time and ask yourself, where can you be the most effective? All right, so after I make this plan, I sit down and I communicate this plan to my family. So number 1, I go to Matt and I say, look, this is what the game plan is for the week. And if it's just a normal week, I'm like, it's a normal week. But let's just say I have a coach that works full time and she needs to schedule a call with me. And what I used to do is Matt would walk through the door and I would say, here's the kids, I gotta go do a call. And I was making him angry because I wasn't allowing him the time to sort of unwind. I was just throwing things at him and he didn't understand why. But I started to sit down on Sundays and say, look, I got to do a Wednesday night call with one of my coaches. I'm going to need you to get the kids bathed on Wednesday night. Or, hey, I'm pushing for a qualification, and the next 6 weeks might be a little rough. Let's not plan any date nights on a Wednesday night. All right? And I tell him why. I tell him why I'm doing that. Or, hey, I might need to work a little extra because I'm reaching for this goal, but this goal is going to bring this to our family, and this is how it's going to benefit us, and that it's a short-term thing. And just that simple act of communicating what I already knew inside of my head to him made a world of a difference in our relationship. And he started to understand why I was spending those extra hours on my business. So it's really important that you discuss those goals and you tell the other person why you're doing what you're doing. And then lastly, I schedule in that unplugged time. So Tuesday night, This Is Us. We watch This Is Us on Tuesday nights. I check in. You guys like This Is Us? I love that show. So we DVR it, because you can watch it in like half the time, right? And so we DVR, we get the kids in bed. I do a quick check-in, but it's unplugged. The phone goes on silent. It actually just gets flipped upside down. The computer is turned off. We are 100% present. It is not in between, whenever there's a commercial or he's fast forwarding, then I'm on my phone, 100%. Date night, 100%. Phone is left in my purse. You want to make sure that when it's family time, it's family time. When it's business time, it's business time. You're not on Pinterest. You're not shopping on Nordstrom's. You are working your Beachbody business. All right, so it's Monday morning. We've got work. We've spent Sunday planning. We've communicated the plan. It's time to get to work. Before you open the lid of your computer screen on Monday mornings, one of the things that I encourage you to do is have a plan for what you're gonna do. Top 3 tasks that you want to accomplish. And I say only pick 3 because realistically, that's about all we can accomplish in a day is 3 things because life gets in the way and usually things take longer than anticipated. So I prioritize my to-do list. I take all the things on Sunday that I wrote down that were important for me to accomplish. I pick the top 3 things, and when I open up the computer, I get to work. I do not even have Messenger on, ever. It's always off. Chat bar, always off. Those messages just go right into the inbox because you're gonna be trucking along, typing a really great post, and somebody's gonna message you and it's gonna pop up, and what do? Whoop, we instantly go to that box. And we get distracted. So then a 5-minute post ends up taking us a half hour because we're answering this message, and then we're like, oh, let's go over here to this group. So if I turn off the notifications, it keeps me focused. I do the same on my phone. Every time that 24 hours, happens with your phone, I turn the notifications off again. So I never have Messenger going off on my phone, ever. I always, just when it's time to check messages, I check the messages. Even on my computer, the sound is off unless I'm listening to an audio. I don't want to hear the beeps and the dings. 1 window, 2 windows, open at a time. I set a timer, and I think Ashley may have said this in one of her sessions. I set a timer and I race against the clock. So how many of you, I see a lot of my full-time coaches do this. Their kids go to school, they sit down and they're like, it's time to check into my challenge groups. 2 hours goes by. Started setting a timer. I'm gonna give myself a half hour to check in with my challengers and my challenge group. And then as fast as I can go, I type. And then I'm gonna give myself 20 minutes to respond to messages or do follow-ups. And then as fast as I can go, I type. When that timer goes off, next task, or 5 more minutes, right? So I've learned to just be very efficient with the time I have. And yes, I have all day to work my business, but I don't want to spend all day on my business. Why not be efficient so that you can focus your time and energy on something else? So set the timer, start working against the clock. When it's time to shut it off, we shut it off. And then at the end of every day, not end of every week or every month, evaluate your progress. How did you do? Did you win the day? Did you move your business forward? Did you actually do the activities that are going to get you results? And a lot of times I will get to the end of the day, and I'm guilty of this at least a couple of times a week, where I say to myself, oh man, hope everybody's okay right there. But at the end of the day, I'll say to myself, I didn't invite today. And I will stop, and I will do my invites, and then I'll go to bed. I just focus my priorities on the things that I know are going to be the best bang for my buck. All right, so up next, we've only talked about personal time, and we need to talk about managing your team, because this is a really big part of your business right now. How many of you, when you reached the rank of diamond, said, I need to build a team, and now I need to take all my time and energy, and I need to create a new coach training, and I need to do a great getting started right, and you just started to focus all of your time and energy on building your team. And you started to pour into these people, and they started quitting, because that happens every once in a while. And so what happened is I noticed my Success Club points, my sales were going down, and I noticed my business wasn't growing as fast. Because I was trying to control my team when I should have been focused on building my own business. So what I do is I set business hours for my team. You're not a short-order cook. You don't have to answer the phone every single time somebody calls. If it is personal business time, it's personal business time. But Acuity Scheduling is a website that I use where you can actually go in and you can set business hours. So if you have an hour drive to work, you can say 7 to 8 a.m. You can schedule 4 15-minute power calls. Lunchtime, you can set up half-hour sessions or on your drive home from work. Or you can say, okay, Tuesday nights is going to be the night that I have a babysitter and I'm going to do calls from 6 to 7:30. And you can say, is it a new coach call? Is it an emerald to diamond? Is it a power call, leadership? Whatever you want, you set it. And then I give that link to my coaches. When they want to set up a call with me, I give them that link. And so what happens is, because I've been doing this for so long, my team just knows Melanie's always available. Every single week, she puts aside time in her business to talk to her team. If I want to talk to her, I ask her for the link. And they do. And I'm always available to help people. And if the time doesn't work, I'm always willing to make an exception. But it sets that boundary. And they just expect that now, and they know that I'm going to be there. And then the last thing I want to say about this is you have to make sure that you're spending your time with people that are matching your effort and intensity. In January, this is huge. Everybody comes out of the woodwork and they're like, I want to invest in my business. I'm back, right? And everybody, right? You guys know that, right? They come out of the woodwork. You're like, what the heck? And so everybody wants to schedule a call with you. One of the things I started to do is I say, all right, somebody that I know is wishy-washy, or somebody that's fell off the face of the earth, I will say, tell me what you think, what's your biggest obstacle or hurdle in your business. I ask them. And then I give them a suggestion. I say, okay, before we set up a call, I want to just get some baseline data. I want you to get your business activity tracker out. I want you to track your business for a week. I want you to post 3 to 5 times a day on Facebook, and I'm going to watch you. And I'm going to critique, and I'm going to take some notes. And then when you fill up that business activity tracker, send it to me next week, and then let's set up a call, because then we'll have something to talk about. You know what's funny? Nobody ever does it. I just saved myself a 30-minute phone call with somebody that wasn't matching my effort. But you better believe if that person fills that out and sends it to me, we're getting on the phone. I know that they have skin in the game. So don't be afraid to ask people to put a little bit of skin in the game. And your time is important too. All right, and last but not least, before they hook me off the stage because I'm over, you got to keep yourself in check. Number 1, time invested versus results. My husband always says this to me. I wouldn't let you go in that office and work all day if you weren't actually bringing in a paycheck. All right? I clearly go in that office and I do things that are going to build my business. So you have to constantly say to yourself, am I spending my time on the right activities so that I'm actually getting results? And whatever the results looks like to you, define it, track it, monitor your progress. Number 2, what could I be more efficient with? Is it time in your business to delegate a little more? Is it time to hire some help? Do you need to set the timer? Where can you be more efficient? The third is time spent with your team versus your personal business. 80-20 rule. 80% of your time should be spent building your personal business, 20% on your team. And that has been the case for me all the way until I was a superstar diamond coach. And so remember that, 80-20. Do your calendar, take a look at where you're balanced, and ask yourself, am I off balance? Is my business bleeding into my personal life? Is my team bleeding into my personal business time? And make this a practice that you do. It's going to be messy the first couple of times you do it. But again, just like the marketing plan, the more you refine, the better you get. I promise you, this will become your saving grace. And you will feel it after a while. You will feel the, I feel balanced. I'm not stressed. I know I have a time and a place to work my business. But then also the reverse will happen. You will notice, because you'll get that anxious feeling when you're out of balance. And you'll be able to recalibrate. And I promise you, this will make a difference not only in your business, in your growth, in your results, but in those relationships, in those people that mean the most to you. And I promise you, you can have the best of both worlds. But it takes work and constant effort. All right, before I go, I was asked to share my word, and so I'm going to share that with you guys. And so as I was sitting here listening to everybody else, I really thought to myself, you know what? Mine is blessed. I am blessed. I had no idea what Beachbody was 5.5 years ago. I am blessed. I believe that God had a way of sort of putting his hand on me and saying, Melanie needs this in her life. She needs this physical transformation to build confidence, but also she has a gift that she doesn't know she has. She has a gift of speaking. She has a gift of teaching and inspiring other people. And she has a gift of helping other people see their fullest potential. And Beachbody is going to be the platform for her to share that gift with others. And I truly feel blessed that Beachbody is here to give me that opportunity to let that gift shine through. So, thanks guys.